Hey guys, my name is Hannah and I would say, let's have some fun today. So, I waited the whole day for my Odense eye palette to arrive. It didn't seem so it will be the day because it's really weird. My status is saying me from my packaging that it's almost there, but it's not coming and it's almost night now, so I thought, you know what, let's do something else today. I hope the palette will come maybe tonight and then I will film tomorrow in the morning. The first thing I will do is that. I hope my Odense eye palette will arrive. It's taking a little bit longer than usual, I have to say. That's a little bit weird, but I hope it will arrive in good condition. Fingers crossed. Yeah, what I want to do today with you, I didn't do my favorite palettes for fall type of video yet. Yeah, and today I really want to show you my 10 favorite palettes for fall. Those are the palettes that I'm looking at and I'm thinking right away it's fall time. So if it sounds good and interesting to you, stay tuned and let's get right into the video. So I will cheat right away with my first thing I will show you, and those are two palettes basically, but I'm counting them as one, and those are my ColourPop X Hocus Pocus palettes. I couldn't decide which one I will show you, and I have other ones I wanted really to show you, so cheat time. We are here to cheat a little bit. But yeah, those are my two Hocus Pocus palettes. This is the palette I really loved the most. I think this was the first palette ever. This is really beautiful. I love the colors in here. I love the fall theme in here. I love the tones, those really darkish kind of tones, the shimmers or the metallics that are going so nicely with those tones right here. You also have some neutral kind of shades that are really toasty and beautiful. I really like this palette, I have to say, and I have to think right away of fall time. And yeah, I really love those colors. I have to say, I think this is my favorite palette yet from ColourPop. I really like this one. The metallics, you know, there are typical ColourPop metallics. They are not that special in your face metallic like, but they are really beautiful, and I really like this color story overall, I have to say. I think this is a beautiful, stunning palette for the fall time. And you could say the brighter, lighter sister to this palette is the Hocus Pocus 2 palette. I think this is really beautiful and this is much more brighter. You can see it's a more brighter take on fall and Halloween time, so I really like that as well. I think it's capturing the vibe very nice as well from the movie. So I really like this one. I have to say, when it comes down to it, I like this one a little bit more because this is a little bit more my type of color story. But I really like those tones in here as well so much. I think they're really unique in some way. I really love this bright, bright orange. I wore this not that long ago actually because I really wanted to dive into my ColourPop palettes a little bit more again. Really love this color story as well. I think it's beautiful. I love those shimmery, glittery type of shades in here that they are doing in the moment really often in their palettes. I think this is a kind of shimmer. Yeah, those are real shimmer particles, but they are so finely melted in here. They're not that chunky, if you know what I mean. So I'm feeling really comfortable to wearing those types of shimmers the whole day on my lid. Really like this color story overall, and I'm also thinking right away fall time when I'm looking at this beauty right here. Palette number 2, we can't forget about Pat McGrath, of course. This is a palette that's not available anymore as well. I'm so sorry, but there will be some palettes that are still available. Don't worry about that. This is my Pat McGrath Labs Mega Celestial Divinity palette of Pat. This is initially a Christmas palette from her. This was her first one. But to be honest, this color story in here is screaming every time fall to me. I really love it. I think this is such a fall themed palette. You have the greens, you have this really beautiful purpley type of shades, those more bronzy kind of shades, the red one. I don't know, all in all, this is, every time I'm looking at this beautiful palette right here, I'm thinking fall time. Really love the theme overall. You can do so much with it. So many beautiful shimmers. Yes, maybe we could have switched up the mattes a little bit, you know, her typical mattes that are always in here. But overall, I really love this color combination. I really love this color story. It's really inspiring for me. And this is important for me as well nowadays. And I think this will still remain to be my favorite mega palette from Pat ever. Really love this color story, and every time I'm doing an eye look with this one, my eye look is really basically screaming fall time. So I really like this one for that reason. Palette number 3, I was a little bit, do I cheat again and show you both palettes? I decided to not cheat, but now I really want to cheat again. So let me think about it a little bit. Okay, yeah, let me cheat again. Number 3 will be, again, of course, 2 palettes. And the first I initially wanted to show you is my Anastasia Beverly Hills Rose Metals palette. I think this is a really grungy, more romantic type of fall palette. I really love it. I did a video on my channel with this one as well, and I tried to do a really beautiful romantic summer type of look with this one. This is something you also can do really beautifully with this palette right here. And if you wanted a little bit more muted, a little bit more your typical type of fall looks, I think this one is beautiful. I didn't want to mention this one because sometimes when I think of this palette, I also have to think of springtime, to be completely honest. I think it's because of the pop of lilac right here, this really beautiful pastel kind of lilac. I think this is transforming the whole palette more into a spring palette, but all in all, I think this is also a beautiful fall type of palette, so you can take it as an honorable mention if you want it like that. But this is the palette I initially thinking of when I think of fall time. It's more the romantic type of fall palette, it's more the darker colors, the more richer type of colors, you know, so I really think a little bit more of fall time when I look at this one. I really like this one, and I will pull it definitely out a little bit more for the fall season. Palette number 4 is a more neutral kind of palette, but I really love this one, and it's my Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette right here. It's a little bit on the shiny side, I'm sorry, but I really love those tones as well. Those are a little bit more, again, darker, richer kind of brown shades, and I think it's really nice for this time right now. I also love this blush right here. It's a little bit more, I have the dark palette, by the way. I think for me the dark palette is really beautiful and right up my alley. The light one is also really nice, but it's a little bit, I have the feeling for my style it's a little bit too light. I really love those darker kind of richer shades that are in here, and I can make the highlighter work for me as well really beautifully. Although I'm a really pale human being, I can make everything work in here so beautifully, and especially for the fall time right now, I have the feeling this will serve me really nice. Also wore this one not that long ago. I think it was yesterday, when I'm thinking about it. I think it was yesterday I wore this actually for work, and I loved my look. I loved how rich and pigmented and fall-esque it looked, and yeah, really want to pull this out more in the fall time for sure. Let's stay with Natasha Denona, and the next one is the retro palette I have to think about when I'm thinking about fall time. It's this beauty right here. The reason is, I think you can see it, it's so rich, so pigmented, it's so romantic like. It's more the romantic type of fall palette again, in my opinion. Those really beautiful burgundy shades, those peachy shades that are a little bit more richer than normally, those brownish shades that are also a little bit more in here. I think this is a beautiful fall palette, and I really want to pull this out in the fall time as well, so much more. Really love those shades. They are such staples for the fall time for me personally. Love those colors, and it's a fairly newer palette in my collection. I don't have this one for that long. I bought this palette this year, and I really want to dive into it, especially this time around for sure. The next palette is the palette I'm wearing today on my eyes actually, and it's the Cosmic Brushes Serenity palette. This is also a palette I don't have that long in my collection, and I recently did a video with it on my channel, so you can check it out. I did 2 looks, and this look I'm wearing today with this beauty right here. I will do a reel. It could be that it's already up on my Instagram, or I will load it up soon, but I did a reel for this look. I really love how everything came together, and this is a more, you could say, another take on the fall time for me personally. I really love this one. I think it's beautiful. I love that you have those really bright, flashy type of colors that I also used in my look today, but you also have those muted, beautiful, grungy, fall-esque type of colors in here. So you have a little bit of everything, you could say, and this is what makes the palette so unique and beautiful in my opinion, and it's a little bit another take on the fall and Halloween time. And I really love that about it. It's giving me a little bit witchy, foresty kind of vibes, and I'm here for it. So much here for it. Really want to play with this one as well a little bit more, and it's a fantastic, fantastic palette for that time, for sure. Okay, the next palettes, I won't do them in one category because they're all standing on their own in my opinion. Really love them, and it wouldn't be a fall themed kind of video if I don't mention Melt in it, you know? So the first one, of course, is my Smoke Sessions palette. Really love this one. It's the OG fall palette in my opinion. You have so many grungy, beautiful tones. You have a little bit of lighter tones as well in it. I love the ratio of greens and golds in here. I think they are pairing so beautifully together, and they're looking so fall-like, and the golds are as well with the more greenish type of undertone, and I think this is what makes the palette so cohesive in a way and so beautiful. I sometimes use this one as a companion palette, but you know what, I also don't have a problem to use this one on its own, although it's just, this palette just has 2 really dark mattes in here and nothing to really blend them out with. Sometimes I just use it on its own and it's working perfectly fine for me. Really love this one so much, and of course I need to mention this one in this video today. The next one is also a palette I think everyone is thinking fall time looking at this one. Some people don't like it, I really love it. It's the 420 palette from Melt Cosmetics. Look at this inside, guys. It's screaming fall right away. I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of the shade Shadow. It's the only metallic kind of shade in here. It's okay, I can make it work. It got a little bit of hard pan, but also not really. Sometimes it's working so beautifully, and sometimes I don't get anything on my brush when I'm working with it, so I need to figure out what's wrong with this shade. But I like it in that way that I think the color is really fitting in the theme right here. And the mattes, guys, ooh, the mattes are so beautifully, they're working so perfectly fine. Look at this toasty browns in here, this beautiful rich yellows, those really grungy type of greens in here. Everything in this palette is screaming fall for me, and I love it, and I want to dive into this one every day. When I'm thinking about it, I think why I didn't use this one today. But, you know, I only have 2 eyeballs. I can play with so much in one day. But man, I really want to play more with this one, for sure. The next and last palette I want to mention from Melt. To be honest, I wanted to pull out 2 more palettes from my collection from Melt, but I didn't want that this video is overfloated with Melt palettes. So I picked the 3 palettes I thought are the most fitting for the theming. And the next one is the Gemini 1 palette. I have the new packaging. I was so happy when they announced that they are bringing this palette back, and I love it so much. I think this is a beautiful color story. Again, toasty, beautiful mattes, brown shades in here, a beautiful black to deepen everything even more up, and beautiful type of greens. Those are the type of greens I really love to play with on myself. I think they're suiting me the best, those more grungier, darker, foresty type of greens. I'm not the biggest fan of those really neon type of greens, but I can make them work as well. I like those type of greens more on my lower lash line than on my actual lid area. But all in all, a beautiful palette. A beautiful fall dream type of palette. Really love it. and I'm appreciating the matte formulation more and more and more from Melt. I think the matte formulation is always so on point, really love it. And yeah, can't wait to dig this one out again and to have my fun with it. And the last palette, it needed to be again a Pat McGrath palette because to be honest guys, in the moment I don't have that much, not time in that sense, but I don't play enough with my Pat McGrath palettes, I have the feeling in the moment, because I have so many beautiful new palettes I want to dive into. So really need to give them a little bit more love. And the palette I thought immediately of when it comes to fall time and Pat McGrath, I think you can guess it. It's of course my Midnight Sun palette right here. I think this is beautiful, guys. I love it so much. Those beautiful, really warm, coppery type of shades mixed with those really more lilac-y and more cool type of tones in here. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful combination and one of my favorite palettes of all time from her. Really love this one. I think this is in my top palettes, you could say, that she's having in her collection. I love the overall theming in here. You have a beautiful green, a beautiful bronze, some beautiful light reflective shades, a lilac-y shade that's a little bit standing out in here, but stunning mixing in with, this shade is stunning to mix with those beautiful toasty type of browns in here. I love it so much. I think it's a beautiful palette. You can make it really neutral, you can have your fun with it and make it a little bit more colorful and exciting looking, you know, so everything in here is so cohesive and nice, and I really want to use this one, especially now in that time, so much more again. Yeah guys, those were my 10 palettes. I cheated a little bit here and there, I hope you can forgive me, but I wanted to show you those options as well, if you know what I mean. Some of them aren't available anymore, but I think the most of them are. I hope so at least. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you maybe have those palettes, grab them again, bring them out, play with them. It's the perfect time for it. I don't want to give you the feeling you have to purchase them, but if you felt inspired, maybe pull out something similar, or if you wanted them and this video convinced you to get those palettes, you go girl, you go and have your fun with those. I really love every palette I showed you today. I'm so excited to play with them now a little bit more. Those are my palettes of choices for this season for sure. Like I said, if my Own's Eye palette arrived today, I maybe would have also showed you this one, even though I didn't use it. Or maybe I would have used it today. But sadly it didn't came. But yeah guys, if you enjoyed this kind of video, if you enjoyed this kind of content, I would be really happy if you give me a thumbs up that I know that. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and click on the little bell to get notifications here and there when I'm posting something new. And with that being said guys, thank you so much for watching and until next time, bye.